Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. A dad rescues his underage daughter from the hands of sex traffickers and is now accused of killing the 19-year-old man he says sold her. That's coming up. But first, you're the parent of a college-age young man or that age yourself? Well, then you know all men in this country have to register in case the country ever brings back the draft. But that only applies to men, not women. And Republican Senator Josh Hawley and 5 others in the Senate want to make sure it stays that way, even threatening to block Pentagon funding if language adding women to the draft pool isn't removed from next year's National Defense Authorization Act. Now, while the military ended compulsory service in 1973, there is language included that would make women draft eligible and require all American women and men, 18 to 25, to register with the Selective Service System, which keeps track of all those eligible to serve in case of a national emergency. This week, Hawley announced he is ramping up his campaign to block those changes. He said that it's, quote, wrong to force our daughters, mothers, wives, and sisters to fight our wars. He says that while female volunteers have played a critical role in the military, there is a difference between volunteering to enlist and being compelled to do so. Momentum to include women in the Selective Service System has been building, in particular since 2015, when women were made eligible for combat roles. In 2019, a federal court in Texas ruled that the men-only draft was unconstitutional. However, that decision was reversed in August 2020. In March of 2020, the congressionally created National Commission on Military, National, and Public Service recommended women be required to register and be eligible if the draft is reinstated. And this past January, the ACLU petitioned the Supreme Court on behalf of the National Coalition of Men, arguing that now that women are eligible for combat roles, keeping them ineligible for the draft is a violation of men's Fifth Amendment rights to equal protection under the law. And in April, President Biden asked the court to let Congress resolve the issue, which brings us to today. In July, Hawley was one of 5 Republicans on the Senate Armed Services Committee to vote against adding women to the draft pool. He was joined by Arkansas Republican Senator Tom Cotton in voting against the Pentagon authorization bill because of their concerns about women registering. Now, this is not just conservative lawmakers who are against the change either. Making women draft eligible isn't apparently overwhelmingly popular with the general public. An Ipsos poll from August shows that support for drafting women fell nearly 20% from 2016 to 2021, dropping from 63% to 45%. Today, according to the poll, about 1/3 of American women support the idea of compelling women to serve, compared to 55% of men. I question that poll with the dip that much in that period of time. But look, we are all hoping we can keep the military voluntary. But with the U.S. population growth at an 80-year low, and with many of draft-age Americans, both women and men, deemed unfit for military service, expanding the draft to include women would also provide much-needed additional human capital in the event that it ever gets reinstated. What about equality? I don't see how you can say that women should not be required to register if we're demanding that women be treated equally in every other arena in the workplace, and sports, and the military itself. There are certainly ways to create exemptions, and if there are particular roles better suited to men, then so be it. But I don't think that should lead us to say that women shouldn't still be required to register. Someone who does not agree with me is Tony Perkins, president of the Family Research Council, and he joins us now. Tony, thanks very much for joining us. Appreciate it. All right, so tell me, what do I have wrong here?
Well, Dan, I think let's look. We've had the Selective Service in place since 1917. So what's changed? What's changed in terms of the military's mission? The military's mission is to fight and to win wars. That remains the same. The military has always been treated as a different entity. And, there's nothing that's really changed about warfare in terms of fighting wars. The only thing we're talking about here is accommodating maybe an agenda that is not exclusively designed to help our military advance its mission. So I don't think there's any... Go ahead.
Let me ask you this. So were you opposed to women serving in combat roles at all?
Well, let's talk about combat. Women now, when they are in an advanced position in the ground, today's combat's much different. You don't have a front line. It's very, they're in a combat situation. Now, you talk about serving in a frontline combat unit, yeah, that's different. That's much different. You look at what the military has done to try to accommodate the change in women serving in combat roles. They've changed the combat fitness standards. And what's happening right now, Dan, is nearly half of all women are failing the combat readiness fitness exams. Men are about 7%. Look, the reality is there's a biological difference between men and women. Combat is about physical. It's physical, and it requires.
So it sounds
a
like you oppose
stamina.
it. So you oppose women serving in combat roles?
In frontline combat units. Anytime you're on the ground today, you're in a combat situation. Frontline combat units are much different.
Right,
I served
so you
in the Marine
oppose
Corps.
that.
I was a frontline, what we call grunt in the military. I was an 03. Much different, very demanding, biologically different. Now, there are some women.
But what? Right, I was going to say, why can't we just allow women? Again, I'm okay with deciding based on achievement, based on testing, whatever the case may be, that certain people, men or women, won't be physically able to do certain things. But there are going to be women who can be up there, and there are going to be women who can. And maybe you're right that there'll be more women who don't pass it. But the point is, why immediately say, because you just said what's changed, and then you told us how much has changed, right? About what combat roles mean, for example. A lot has changed in what a military is, and it would seem to me that there are a lot of roles.
Not the military's mission. Not the military's mission. The military's mission remains the same, and what we should be doing is keeping. Yeah, but Dan, what has happened where we have used the military to advance a social agenda or some cultural issue rather than staying focused on its. Well, you can't put it aside because that's the purpose of the military. That's the problem.
Well, no, but I'm not doing this for a cultural agenda. I'm strictly. My mother served in the Israeli army. All right, in 1956, she served in a war on behalf of Israel. But you know what she did? She was in the weather. All right, so she was responsible for determining what the weather was. I'm not saying that's necessarily a woman's job. She had to go through combat. She had to go through training. She had to do a lot of hard work, et cetera. But it seems to me that there's going to be a place for women and men, but for everybody to at least register to say, you know what, we can find a place for everybody. And the idea that we're saying only men should be registering just seems so outdated to me.
Well, see, I don't even think we need the system of registration anymore. I think it's outlived its purpose. Look, for the last 50 years, we've had an all-volunteer force, and it's worked quite well. We even during 20 years of Afghanistan, the Marine Corps, which I am partial to, had no problem meeting its recruiting requirements. Even when you knew you signed up, you were going to go to combat, most likely, they still met their requirements because they stayed focused on their mission. And I think what's happening, we get off of the mission and we start focusing on these other issues. And I think that's why the public's opinion of this has dropped, because they've thought about it. I've got 5 children, 3 daughters. I've got one who's a trauma nurse. I've got one who's in law school to be a lawyer. I've got one who is on track to go into law enforcement, which I did. And I support each of them in the choices they make. But I would not want any of the 3 to be forced to register and to serve if they did not want to.
But I don't want my son to be forced either. But that's the reality, right? I want him to serve his country, and I just don't see why we differentiate between men and women. You get the final word.
Well, I'm just saying that men, biologically, there's a difference between men and women. And if men are drafted in an emergency to serve in a combat situation, they are better equipped to do it than women.
And I said I'd give you the final word, but there are a lot of positions beyond combat that are in the military, as you know, from having served. Anyway, Tony Perkins, thank you very much for taking the time. Important discussion. Appreciate it.
Good to be with you, Dan.
Coming up 24 hours after former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo was charged with a sex crime, the New York Attorney General, who was behind the report that led to Cuomo's resignation, announced, lo and behold, she's running for governor. So it sure seems fair to ask whether this charge that the DA did not even know was coming was politically motivated. It has been about a week since New York's ex-governor Andrew Cuomo was charged with the crime of forcible touching. And now that we've had some time to review everything, I've got some real questions about the charge and the motivations behind it. Minutes after the complaint against Cuomo was made public, New York State Attorney General Letitia James released a statement touting that the charges, quote, further validate the findings in our report. Now, James had released a report on August 3rd that found that Cuomo had harassed 11 women. At the time, James said that the state had, quote, an obligation to protect women in their workplace. Cuomo would step down a week later. But lo and behold, James also announced her campaign for governor the day after the criminal complaint was filed. Big difference between forcing him out and forcing him to a criminal trial. And here's the biggest point, is that this was not an ordinary criminal complaint. The Albany County Sheriff, Craig Apple, made it clear early on that he believed the allegations from Brittany Commisso, a former aide to Cuomo, who alleged that Cuomo reached under her shirt and touched her breast in a private meeting at the executive mansion. Now, it sure seems like James was given a heads up about the charge. But do you know who wasn't? The person who would have had to prosecute Cuomo, Albany District Attorney David Soros. He released a statement late last week which said, like the rest of the public, we were surprised to learn today that a criminal complaint was filed in Albany City Court by the Albany County Sheriff's Office against Andrew Cuomo. The Office of Court Administration has since made that filing public. Our office will not be commenting further on this case. That's right. The person responsible for proving Cuomo's guilt in court was apparently not informed that the charge was coming in one of the most high-profile cases currently being pursued in the state. Sure, a sheriff may occasionally file a criminal complaint in local court for routine offenses before it hits the prosecutor's desk, but this is not a routine case. The DA was already investigating Cuomo. It just smacks of political pressure by James and the sheriff, who claimed he would have liked to have consulted the DA, but everything moved too fast.
So a criminal summons was issued. I would have liked to, at that point, had a deeper conversation with the district attorney. I would have liked to have reached out to Ms. Glavin, Cuomo's attorney, and explained what was going on. But needless to say, the document was signed, the document was leaked. So again, things don't always work out as planned.
An investigation that has been ongoing since August was moving too fast. Now, Apple also claims James's office was not tipped off to the charges before they were filed, despite the, let's call it, coincidental timing of her campaign launch.
Sheriff, would Attorney General Letitia James have known that you were going to file this complaint before she decided she was going to be officially announced 2 months ago?
No, I have not spoken to the Attorney General. I have not discussed with anybody outside of our staff that this arrest was going to take place and the filing was going to take place.
Okay, I'll give Sheriff Apple the benefit of the doubt. James, though, has made a name for herself by, in my view, improperly promising investigations of Donald Trump. Office is now working on the investigation of the former president with the Manhattan DA. And if there's an indictment, you can count on her name coming up again and again. They're going to accuse her of prejudging the facts and of putting politics above justice. Now, I'm predicting that this charge against Cuomo is going to have major issues. He's supposed to appear in court on November 17th. I'm guessing that either a judge is going to dismiss it or the DA won't move forward with it. But let me be clear. I am not saying I do not believe Brittany Commisso or the other one. I also get that no one wants to defend Andrew Cuomo right now. The right has long despised him, and now the left is siding with James and the women accusing him. But if you care about ensuring that our legal system isn't politicized, I think we have to care. Joining us now to discuss is former Manhattan Assistant District Attorney Daniel Bibb. Thanks so much for coming on the show. Appreciate it. All right, so what do you make of my concerns here?
Well, thank you for having me on, Dan. First of all, I'm shocked that hardball politics are being played in the state of New York. Like it's never happened before. It's going to happen again. Letitia James is a politician at heart. She has had her eyes on successive prizes since the beginning of her political career. The next prize, as with Spitzer and Cuomo, was the governorship. And anybody who didn't know that that was on her agenda is naive.
Well, so but let me ask you this.
The entire thing smacks of politics.
Right. But here's the thing. So I'm not willing to just say, oh, you know, it's politics, because now we're talking about the criminal justice system. I'm willing to talk about, yeah, it's just politics, when you're not talking about people actually being indicted for crimes and it now moving into the criminal justice system. That really bothers me. If you're telling me that you're convinced it's politics, and are you convinced that the criminal charge is politics?
I don't think the criminal charge itself is politics, and I'm certainly not saying that I disbelieve any of his accusers. Have never been a fan of Andrew Cuomo, but from the beginning, Letitia James's office should have recused her office from the investigation, because everyone knew her politics wanted to lead to the governorship. It is the appearance of impropriety that all lawyers are supposed to avoid. And having her investigate the person she wants to succeed as governor, either through an election or through him stepping down, it just looks, the optics are horrible.
Yep, totally agree with you. And I think that the thing that people aren't talking about, right? Everyone wants to beat up on Andrew Cuomo right now, right? I mean, one of the reasons I'm doing this segment is because I look for sort of interesting stories to do that I don't feel like other people are covering. And I don't think anyone is covering it from this angle, not because it's not an obvious angle, but because no one wants to be seen as defending Andrew Cuomo. And rather than defending Andrew Cuomo, what I'm talking about is there's a reason that the DA hasn't brought the charge. One of the reasons is because the definition of the law makes it a difficult charge to win, even if you believe the accusers. And let me read the definition. It says a person is guilty of forcible touching when such person intentionally and for no legitimate purpose forcibly touches the sexual or other intimate parts of another person for the purpose of degrading or abusing such person or for the purpose of gratifying the actor's sexual desire. And so having to prove that the purpose was to degrade or abuse the person isn't easy in a case like this. And I've got to believe that has been the hesitation on the part of the Albany DA.
Well, I just want to comment first before I deal with the Albany DA. I want to comment on something that the sheriff said about this was moving so fast. That's an absolute ridiculous statement. I can't even believe I heard it come out of his mouth. This investigation's been going on for months. There was nothing, there was no urgency. And the fact that he didn't consult with David Soros clearly indicates to me that this is about politics. Because in a situation where you have one of the highest profile politicians in the state of New York being accused of a crime, the district attorney, who is the ultimate arbiter of whether a case is going to be prosecuted and is allowed to exercise his prosecutorial discretion, was not. His discretion was co-opted by the sheriff. And it looks terrible. And what also looks even worse is Letitia James looks like she's basically walking over Andrew Cuomo's corpse when the day after she announces that she's running for governor, an office that he just resigned from. Was anybody at all shocked at that? I wasn't. But what I was shocked at, having been a prosecutor for 24 years and having been in charge of prosecutorial decisions throughout my career, is that the sheriff decided to do this on his own. It's outrageous.
And I've only got 15 seconds left, but do you agree with me that it's a tough charge to prove in court on these facts?
It is.
Right. So that's the important thing that people need to remember, that you can still believe whoever you want. You can believe all of them. You can believe Brittany Commisso, et cetera, and still say that this is tough. And there's a reason that the DA didn't want to move forward. The sheriff, and I totally agree with you, Daniel, the sheriff is trying to force the DA's hand here. And the one I'm most concerned about, though, is Letitia James, because she's the Attorney General of the state of New York, and she's now running for governor. And this all smells to me and concerns me. Daniel Bibb, thank you.
Thanks for having me, Dan.
Coming up, a father accused of killing the man he believed sex trafficked his underage daughter. That is coming up next. Time for our police cam segment showing the dangers that officers face every day. We're about to see how police in LA responded to a suspect armed with multiple knives. First, part of the 911 call.
Yes, the gentleman is kicking my manager's door in. He's trying to get in with a knife. He's
Okay,
trying to
what's
cut my manager.
is this a house or apartment building?
It's a transitional housing.
Okay, so transitional housing, a house or an apartment building?
Correct. It's their houses.
It's a house. Okay, so he's kicking
Yes.
the door. Is this to a front house, a back house?
To a room. My manager has his
So
room.
he's
He's
inside
in
of
his
the
room.
He's inside of the house.
Been in on yes. He's inside a property with a butcher knife trying to go after my manager.
Now, police arrived at that home, and they get back. Officers give instructions to the suspect, Marco Diaz, trying to get him to surrender.
I need you to put the knife down. Okay, walk towards me. Keep your hands up on your head. Turn around. Turn around. Put your hands on top of your head. Stop. Listen to what I'm saying. Put your hands on top of your head. Okay. Walk. Keep walking. Back. Back. Watch out. Marco. Keep walking back towards me. Keep walking back towards me. All we're trying to do is figure out what's going on. It's real simple. We don't want to hurt you. You just need to follow my directions.
I promise you, no one's going to hurt you, okay? Just cooperate with us, right? Just sit back a little bit. We'll talk. We'll be done with this.
Hit him, hit him, hit him. Hey, I need you to show me your hands. Reload it.
Now, what happened there, you see them less lethal fired right there, right? Diaz started walking toward the door of the manager of the home again when an officer fired a foam bullet. Foam bullet. Diaz collapsed on top of the knife. Police kept trying to get him to throw the weapons away with instructions in English and Spanish, but Diaz got up and charged at the manager's door.
Hey, what? Wait, wait. Yes, he's hit. Stand by. I can't see his hands. Chill. Everybody, I can see his hands. Everybody calm down. Calm down. Everybody chill. Okay? Hey, are you okay in there? Are you hurt? Did you get hit? Wait, did you get hit? Okay, just calm down. We're gonna get you, okay?
Now, police found 3 knives at the scene. The suspect survived, was taken to the hospital. Neither the manager nor the officers were injured. Now, we were supposed to be talking to a local sheriff about this, but who actually had to run off to an emergency, so he's not going to be able to join us. But we wanted to make sure we showed you this video, because I have to say, as I watched this, and I've watched a lot of police video, one of the things I was most impressed with is that lead officer. The minute she fires the shots, everybody chill. Everybody chill. That is not an easy thing for an officer to do. There's adrenaline going, and what she is trying to do is get everyone to take it down a notch, which is critical. Now, I want to show again, the suspect was shot with a foam bullet, fell on the knives. We hear the officers giving the suspect instructions in English and Spanish. Let's listen to that again.
Hey, Marcos, do me a favor and crawl forward away from those knives.
Necesito que te arrastres.
Yeah, crawl away from the knives. Leave the knives behind you.
Deja los cuchillos ahí.
Leave the knives on the floor. And I want you to crawl forward away from them.
All right, so remember that the first shot that was fired was with that foam bullet. And then after the shooting, that lead officer reassures the manager, whose life was just threatened. He's the one who's they're there to protect. And so she really did keep the situation from spiraling out of control. Whew. Now, I think you can see why we wanted to show this to you, even though our guest couldn't join us. But again, it shows you some of the challenges that officers face in a split second, decisions that they have to make. And again, the good news is that the suspect survived. And the manager wasn't injured. The officers weren't injured. You got to take a deep breath after watching that one. All right, coming up, have you seen Victoria? Her family desperate to find her ever since the 13-year-old girl's dad went to pick her up at school, and Victoria was nowhere to be found. How you can help find Victoria up next. Each Friday here on the show, we ask for your help to find a missing child. This week, we focus on Victoria Gonzalez, a 13-year-old from Miramar, Florida. Victoria has been missing since September the 17th. According to her parents, Victoria was dropped off at New Renaissance Middle School by her aunt. But that afternoon, when her father went to pick her up, she was nowhere to be found. Her parents say she attended all her classes that day. Obviously, they are desperate to bring their daughter home. Victoria was last seen wearing a white shirt, a burgundy sweater, black pants. Anyone with information about her whereabouts is asked to contact the Miramar police immediately. Joining me now is Angeline Hartman, the media director for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Angeline, as always, thank you for coming back on the show. Appreciate it. All right, so walk us through what we know about Victoria's disappearance.
First of all, Dan, it is so heartbreaking to listen to those parents, to watch them,
Absolutely.
isn't it? I mean, the way the dad put it, that's really tough.
No, it shook me as I was listening to it. And, look, you do this all the time, and I do a lot of this, and still you hear from the parents, and it hits you the same way every time, and it makes me want to do anything we possibly can. I'm sorry, but go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, no, we appreciate you and what you're doing. I spoke to Dad today and let him know, and they are just so grateful because they're really trying to get this out as much as possible. Dad says he showed up that day. He got off work early that day. Her pickup, she gets out of school at 4 o'clock. He showed up at 3 o'clock. He was waiting in the pickup line because he got off work early and he wanted to be there on time. And he's sitting there. She doesn't show up. So he goes inside the school, talks to the office there. They say she was in all of her classes that day. And he tracks down a teacher. The teacher says, yeah, I let her out of the entrance for the walkers because she told me she was walking home that day. And that's a separate entrance from where Dad was. So that's how Dad missed her. They look at the store or the school surveillance video, and it shows her leaving the school. She takes a left, but nobody really knows what happened to her after that. And so Dad says that he talked to some of her friends, and they say, yeah, they kind of saw her. They kind of lost track of her after that. And it's been almost 2 months now. Dad and Mom, they're out there they have their flyers. They go to restaurants, hotels, businesses, just handing out flyers every day. They don't know what to do.
Are there leads, sightings, anything yet in this case?
Well, here's what's concerning, Dan. Investigators say after they started looking at this, they realized that she was speaking to older men online. They don't want to reveal too much about their investigation, but you can imagine they looked at all the usual things, social media, dating apps, whatever. And so far, that has not led them anywhere. And they're being very careful what they say, but that is what they're talking about. Is she with somebody that she was speaking with online? I mean, because where is she? She's 13 years old. She has no resources. She doesn't even have a cell phone. Dad has her cell phone. So it's 2 months is a long time.
Yeah, it is. Now, have you spoken to law enforcement in Miramar about anything that they're saying?
They're trying to be positive. They are now asking for even more media attention because they're kind of at a dead end in this investigation. They say they're actively investigating, but they really want to elevate this now because it has been so long. There have been some unconfirmed sightings that have been called in, and they've followed those leads. Like I said, they're very active, but so far still nothing. And here's what I want to tell you what's happening behind the scenes, Dan. What people may not realize is that when families put themselves out there like this, when their child is missing, those families are then vulnerable to people who prey and target on people who are desperate. And so the family, as I understand it, the dad tells me the family put out her missing poster on social media. They were then contacted by somebody who said, hey, I've seen your daughter. She's with a known trafficker. And then they gave that information to police. Police investigated, and it went nowhere because that social media account was then shut down. They can't trace it. But so was that a prank? Was that a real tip? Somebody trying to actually help? It's really tough. And, the parents are very scared, obviously. But this happens, a lot in cases like this because people who are looking for money, if one thing leads to another, sometimes they ask parents for money, give me some money and I'll give you the information. And it doesn't lead anywhere very good.
Well, that's why it's helpful to have an organization like yours, which can advise families, can work with families, can talk to them about the information that they're getting and say, look, this is our experience. This is, and I'm sure, I know how closely you work with these families. Angeline Hartman, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Dan.
If you know anything about Victoria's whereabouts, please call 1-800-THE-LOST. That's 1-800-843-5678. Coming up, red wave, reeling, even Youngkin's vest. All words you're probably sick of hearing, thanks to our cable news friends who kept using the same words again and again and again. We've got the clips coming up. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.